President Muhammadu Buhari reaffirms commitment towards addressing pressure inhibiting young girls in Nigeria from achieving their educational dreams. Finance ministers and central bank governors of the West African Monetary Union kick against unilateral renaming of CFA franc as ECO in 2020 by the chairman of the Authority of State and Government of the West African Economic and Monetary Union. Good afternoon. This is Panorama, reaching you from the Benin Network Center of the NTA. I am Agatha Egwaroju. You're welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari will depart Abuja for London this Friday to participate in the inaugural UK-Africa Investment Summit holding on Monday, January 20. In a statement, the host, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, says the event is expected to bring together African leaders, international business chief executives, and heads of international organizations to create new partnerships that will deliver more investments and jobs to the benefit of the people and businesses in African countries and the United Kingdom. Apart from highlighting new perspectives on UK-Africa Partnership for Prosperity, issues of sustainable finance and infrastructure, trade and investment, future African growth sectors, clean energy and climate are expected to dominate presentations and discussions during the summit. With the expected takeoff of the African Continental Free Trade Area in mid-2020, the London Investment Summit will provide Nigeria the opportunity to project itself as a leading investment destination for new industries. In addition, the summit will deepen Nigeria-United Kingdom investment size post-Brexit, given that Africa currently represents just 2% of British trade activity, with Nigeria accounting for only 10% of that total. The Nigerian delegation will further showcase details to what the federal government has done through policies and legislations to improve investments and business climate in the country. While in the United Kingdom, the president will hold a meeting with the head of Commonwealth, Prince Charles, in Glasgow and Scotland. The president and his delegation will also have bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Johnson, as well as heads of multilateral organizations. He will be accompanied by governors Yahya Bello of Kogi, Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia, and Muhammad Inuwa of Gombe states. Also on the entourage of the president are Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Oyema, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Otumba Niyi Adebayo, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed, National Security Advisor Major General Babagana Munguno retired, and the Director General, National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar. The president is expected back in Abuja next Thursday. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration will do everything within its power towards addressing the socio-economic pressures inhibiting young girls in Nigeria from either enrolling in schools or completing their education, describing it as worrisome and counterproductive. This was while inaugurating the new head of office building of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs in Abuja. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Conceived in 2006 as National Children's Library and Resource Center and converted to the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs in 2013, work on the magnificent cylindrical edifice of 6 floors was only executed in the last 1 year in furtherance of the Buhari presidency's focus on completing abandoned projects. Women in Nigeria now have a conducive environment for effective articulation of policies towards addressing their needs, as well as mainstreaming their rights, privileges, and concerns alongside children and persons with disabilities in all strata of national development. Addressing invited guests comprising women leaders and other interest groups, President Muhammadu Buhari said his administration is committed to sustaining efforts at not only ending child marriage, but also increasing access to quality all-round education, as well as enhancing the retention of the girl child in schools.
The high level number of young girls who are out of schools or unable to complete school due to socio-economic pressure is disturbing and must be addressed. It is our collective duty to ensure that mothers of today and tomorrow are educated, encouraged, and empowered. Our quest is to ensure that concerns of women, children, and other vulnerable students are given prominence and ultimately addressed.
While commending the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, and her predecessors for the good work they have done and continue to do, the President is particularly happy with the Ministry's collaborative efforts at reducing incidents of human trafficking and maternal mortality.
I enjoin the Ministry to continue to champion and coordinate all matters relating to the plight of Nigerian women and the most vulnerable students. I assure you of my continued support and determination to see that the Ministry deliver on this mandate.
There were goodwill messages by UNICEF, ministers, as well as children's representatives.
I believe that the commissioning of the new Ministry of Women's Affairs building is merely a start of a decade of advancements of human rights, in particularly the rights of women and children.
As a child, I am here to advocate for an improved protection, development, and care of all children and youth in Nigeria, to prepare us to be future leaders of our dear country.
Minister of Women Affairs Pauline Tallen had earlier appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for recognizing the role of women in nation building and supporting the completion of the head office complex of the ministry.
Supporting women is supporting the nation. God allowed you to do this because He is taking you to the next level to unfold great things that will change the history of this country.
First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari was represented at the epoch-making event by a presidential aide and former Minister of Women Affairs, Dr. Hajo Sani. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Finance ministers and central bank governors of the West African Monetary Union, WAMS, have condemned the decision by the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the West African Economic and Monetary Union to unilaterally rename the CFA franc as ECU by 2020. Chimobi Walter Naji reports that they made this position known in Abuja after an extraordinary meeting on the ECOWAS single currency chaired by the Minister of Economy and Finance, Federal Republic of Guinea, Mamadi Camara.
Sometime in December 2019, the media space was greeted with news of the pronouncement by 8 member nations of the French-speaking part of ECOWAS on the adoption and subsequent change of their currency name from CFA francs to ECO by the year 2020. Now, this decision formed the basis of a discourse at this extraordinary meeting of the Ministers of Finance and the Governors of Central Banks of the West African Monetary Zone on the ECOWAS single currency program. Now, the meeting, among other things, condemned the action, stating that it is not in line with the decisions of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS for the adoption of the ECO as the name of an independent single currency.
WAM's Convergence Council reiterates the importance for all ECOWAS member countries to adhere to the decisions of the ECOWAS Authority Heads of States and Government towards the implementation of the revised roadmap of the ECOWAS single currency program.
The WAM's Convergence Council, in a communique, recommends that an extraordinary summit of the Authority of Heads of States and Government of the WAM's member states be convened soon to discuss the matter and other related issues. In Abuja, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News. 9
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent the name of Dr. Kingsley Obiora to the Senate for confirmation as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a letter to the President of the Senate, Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, President Buhari said the nomination was in accordance with the provision of Section 8, subsections 1 and 2 of the CBN Establishment Act of 2007. Dr. Obiora, upon confirmation by the Senate, replaces Dr. Joseph Nana, who retires February 2, 2020. Dr. Obiora holds a bachelor's degree in economics and statistics from the University of Benin, a master's in economics from the University of Ibadan, and a doctorate in monetary and international economics, also from the University of Ibadan. He is currently an alternate executive director in the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in Washington, D.C., United States of America. The Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and Edo State Government are to work in synergy to determine projects to be executed in the state to ensure quality and avoid duplication. This was the outcome of the visit of the Minister of State for Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Donald Alasha Odura, to Governor Godwin Obaseki. Goodluck Enaini reports.
Last year, the Edo State government expressed its displeasure with the way projects are carried out by the NDDC, an interventionist agency under the supervision of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. The state government also alleged that it was not carried along in the scheme of things, which has resulted to poor job execution. The visit of the Minister for Governor Obaseki will provide both the Minister and the state government an opportunity to reason on the same page.
We believe that with you coming on board, we can now play catch up. We can, at least for one thing, ensure that NDDC is no longer used as a political slush fund. We can now begin to commit the bulk of the resources into laying the foundations for the leapfrogging the development of the zone and our region.
Senator Donald Alasha Odura, who is in the state to inspect some projects executed by the ministry, disclosed that the federal government has ordered a forensic auditing of the commission's financial dealings with a view to sanitize the system.
Almost about 3 trillion naira went to NDDC and there is nothing to show for it. And we, from the records we are looking at now, we are discovering how such monies were siphoned out of the organization for useless purposes. And like we had always said, we have almost 12,000 abandoned projects in NDDC. Some of these projects that we are talking abandoned were not even touched though, and monies were taken.
The House Committee on Niger Delta Affairs sometime last year embarked on similar visits to the state to inspect projects executed by the NDDC. In Benin, Goodluck Enaini, NT News.
You're watching Panorama on the Benin Network Center of the NTA. We'll take a break now. More reports shortly, to stay with us.
Independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Thank you for staying tuned. Fires are a common occurrence in Nigeria. However, in the dry and harmattan season, they constitute a special risk element. Edo State has recorded several fire outbreaks, some of them in stunning close succession. So our discussion on Panorama today will focus on incessant fire outbreaks, prevention, and what to do when it occurs. With me in the studio to shed more light on this is Dan Ereme Enowogwema, PhD. Welcome to Panorama.
Thank you.
Mr. Dan is a safety consultant, is immediate past Secretary of Nigerian Red Cross Edo State Chapter and Director World Safety Organization. Again, you're welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much.
All right, now it appears that incidents of fire outbreak is global at this time, but there are concerns about the frequency around the country recently. We've had, for example, in Benin here, we've had series of it from Ekiosa to all of that. What could be the precipitating factors responsible for this?
Well, there are so many factors, and one of them is actually the heat period. All of course, harmattan come with a heat period, and now for me, for you to have fire outbreak, three things must be present: the oxygen, the heat, and the substance.
Okay.
Oxygen, heat, and substance. That's what we call it, the fire triangle. So these three things must be present. But recently, I feel that the fire outbreak is mainly as a result of negligence on the part of the people. For example, in the marketplaces, you see, people will leave offices. People will leave their offices, their marketplaces, without putting off the appliances. Okay. So, of course, I also put some portion of the blame to the provider, the PHN, and others. The reason being that sometimes you can, even when you put off those gadgets, as far as you didn't remove it from the sockets, you can see abnormal current also coming to do some harm. So all of these can lead to fire outbreaks in most of these markets or even offices.
But if you just call in PHC, and I think what you're trying to say is that the safest way is when you're leaving, remove the plug from the socket.
Yes, and the power, and those also distributing this power should also regulate it.
Okay.
Regulation is key.
All right, Mr. Dan, just before we continue with this discussion, we'll now take this report from Ivie Oyahiri.
Okay.
Fire has often been described as the greatest servant, but the worst master, difficult to control when it turns into a conflagration, burning and destroying everything in its path. This greatest servant is one of the most dreaded occurrences in a man's life. Regardless, it still comes haunting them one way or the other. Benin City, Edo State capital, has had its own share of fire outbreaks. It became very significant in the last quarter of 2019. In the quarter, it began with Satana Market, a market housing hundreds of traders. No fewer than 300 shops and goods worth millions of naira was destroyed by the fire. In the same year, Olia Market had one of its famous plazas razed down by fire just after close of work on the 16th of December 2019. While traders were trying to recuperate in Satana and Olia markets, traders at Ekiosa got hit this time. That of Ekiosa became a dual disaster as the state government parastatal, the Edo Development and Property Agency (EDPA), sharing same boundary with the market, came under the spreading flames. Many say the fire from Ekiosa extended to the state government parastatal. 2020 began with another fire outbreak. Urokuta, housing a state government car park and office complex of the Edo State Public Work Volunteers, started the year with its outbreak. Workers at Urokuta woke up to the news of their office space razed by fire at 3 o'clock in the night. The next day saw a sawmill along Okoro Road in Benin gutted by fire. Industrial machines and furnitures went up in flames right in the very eyes of its owners. The most recent just occurred on Tuesday this week. A furniture factory beside a gas plant was razed up till dawn. The fire, which started at 3 o'clock in the morning, was still burning. One recurring challenge those who try to put an end to the outbreak face is the failure on the part of fire service to report at the scene of the fire in the nick of time. The issue leaves those affected with no other option than to watch their assets go up in flames. No one knows the next victim of this fire epidemic. In Benin, Ivie Oyahire, NTA News.
So, Mr. Dan, you can see from that report the devastating effect of fire. What can Nigerians do to prevent fire outbreaks?
Yeah, the first thing to do to prevent fire outbreak is for us to all wake up to our responsibility of put off your gadgets when leaving your offices and also the market. If you look at it, and also do not use gadgets that are prone, that could leads to fire. For example, you have naked wires, you are still using it, and you have an appliance and they have naked wires and you are still using it. One day they can just breach and you are not there, it will ignite fire. And also, people should be aware of the effect of fire. Some persons may not know, but at the end of the day, some persons feel, they may cry out, government will come and compensate them or this and that. But psychologically, even though you are being compensated, psychologically it has a very strong effect on you. So when people are aware of these things, you see, they minimize the risk of fire outbreak in Nigeria, especially in public places.
Okay.
Right.
Now, in that report, we've also seen a trend where when fire occurs, firefighters are not usually there. They don't usually rise up to the occasion. What do you think can be done to change the trend?
Yes. For me, I know that we have fire service here in Edo State. We have men on ground. They are well trained. But what I don't know is the equipment. You see, when you train someone and you don't give the person equipment, the person cannot do anything. So most times, either they complain of no water, no this, no that, the breakdown of their vehicle. Most times they cannot come. So if you find out that even most fire service you will call, they are even sometimes private or other agencies, not even from government.
Now, what can be done to, reorder the story?
Yes, the remedy is that government should rise up to the occasion by providing gadgets for them, their vehicle, the water supply, and other chemicals needed for this. And also, the people should also have a change of attitude. I saw them even stoning the firemen, which is, for me, I don't find they may actually come late, but however, they should allow them to do their job. Because preventing them, you are actually allowing the fire to still be on or escalating. So anytime they are able to find their way down, please, the public should allow them to walk so that they cannot minimize the effect of the fire.
Okay, now, lastly, as a safety consultant expert, can you run us through what should Nigerians do when fire occurs?
Good. When there is fire outbreak, the first thing to do is to call for help. You alone may not be able to put it down. You call for help. There are numbers to call. I don't have them right now. There are numbers to call. There are various agencies. Even you can even call the police. You can call any of the agencies that will now redirect your call to the appropriate quarter. Even me, when I was Red Cross chief, they do, even till today, they still call me. But what I do is to redirect that call, because my number was actually in the public domain. For me to now redirect that call to the appropriate quarter, that's one. Then the second thing is that, like I said, the fire made up of three things. If you can minus one away, the heat, the oxygen, and the substance, any of these three you can minus away, you find that the fire will naturally be put off.
All right, Dr. Dan, thank you so much for coming on Panorama.
Thank you.
On that note, we conclude Panorama from the Benin Network Center of the NTA. We thank you so much for watching. Do have a pleasant day. Good afternoon.